I've got some things to repot. So it's been a long time since I've potted any of my larger Hoya plants, so that's what we're gonna be doing today. I'll be starting with this Hoya obovata, which I've had this for kind of a long time, like years at this point. It's been in the same plastic nursery pot since I bought it from J&J Nursery. See, there's the original tag. This was $22.98. This was years ago when plant prices were a hell of a lot lower. While I repot plants, I do like to sip on a little something something. Today I'm gonna go for some mud water, who's the kind partner of today's video, and I really love them. It's something I drink in my everyday life. I'm gonna make my drink. Come hither. I like to keep my daily mud water routine very simple. 1 tablespoon into a mug. While I add the hot water, I'll add a little bit of vanilla, just a tiny little bit. It goes really well with the cacao and chai. Cacao and chai are 2 of the ingredients in mud water, and each ingredient was added for a purpose. Lion's mane was added for focus, cordyceps to promote natural energy, and chaga and reishi to support a healthy immune system. I'll just mix it up with the frother that you can actually get for free if you go to mudwater.com/HarleyG. Plus, you can also get $20 off by using my code. I love that it gives me all day energy without the crash or jitters. And by swapping my afternoon latte with mud water, I sleep so much better at night. Mud water is Whole30 approved, 100% USDA certified organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, vegan, and kosher. Plus, they donate monthly and have donated monthly to support psychedelic research since day one. They believe the country is in a mental health epidemic and that psychedelic assisted therapy is one of the most effective tools we have to treat mental health conditions. It's a great company to support. If you would like to give it a shot, head to mudwater.com/HarleyG so you can get a free frother and $20 off. And again, that is mudwtr.com/HarleyG for a free frother and $20 off. Okay, I've got my drink. To get back to this Hoya obovata I'm going to be repotting, it does have a lot of yellowing, paling, older leaves, which tells me that I need to unpot it from this. I always heard that I needed to repot my plants yearly, but maybe I have an unpopular opinion there, but I don't think that's really necessary, like 80% of the time. This is really hard to pull out. Squeeze the sides. My arms are sore from lifting yesterday, so maybe that's half the issue here. Ugh. Okay, woo, Bessie, yeah. She is root bound. Those look really awesome. I do personally like to tussle root systems up between repots. Well, I don't know. I think that it helps like stimulate them a little bit to maybe push out new like secondary, tertiary, whatever roots. 100% speculation on my part. I feel like when you move the plant into a new pot, sometimes maybe the plant doesn't even realize it's been repotted because its root ball has become kind of its own little planter, and it stays within the confines of the planter because that's what it's been accustomed to all this time, especially like super root bound plants like this. I'm not breaking them a lot, but I am definitely messing with them. While we're here, I'm also going to remove a lot of these older leaves. No, I'm not gonna do that. That was a lie. That's something I wanna do really, really badly, but the more I think about it, I know that's not good for the plant. This is the planter I'm going to be potting the obovata in. So I'm just going to fill it up a little bit, like a couple of inches. Her in. This planter is a no drainage planter, but I really like my mix for this because I don't know, I just don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about root rot too much. I can water my plants a lot more frequently, which helps them grow a lot better, I think, than a lot of those super dense mixes that don't allow for a lot of air flow. I've got a lot of plants potted into no drainage planters and they do just fine. So I don't know. What do you guys do? Do you guys pot into no drainage, or is that something you're like very much against? I would love to hear what the general consensus on that is. My kids are like a few feet away eating chips, so the crinkling bag in the background are them eating chips.
Hot chips.
They're eating hot chips. They love spicy food, just like their mama.
No, they're too spicy.
They're too spicy, you just ate a bag.
They're so good.
They're so good.
Hey, I like a plant. What are you gonna name it?
It's a Hoya abovata.
I like my small ones the best.
Do you know what that one's called? Pilia peperomioides.
Dirt is fun.
Dirt is fun.
Yeah.
Why is it fun? Because it's messy?
Yeah.
No, that's a no. Here is the repotted Hoya abovata. It looks so nice. I love it in this planter. Next is another Hoya. They're either Hoya Matilde or Hoya Serpens. I think they're Hoya Matilde. Is Serpens the really small one? All you Hoya heads out there, let me know. I've got 2 little pots of them that I'm finally feeling like need to be potted up together. So that is what we're gonna do. This is a terracotta planter. I personally love terracotta for Hoya plants.
You can't do it.
Anything porous, I know is something that people have kind of strong opinions on, especially when it comes to Hoyas, because Hoya plants' roots will kind of stick to the outside of the terracotta over time, especially if you're letting them dry out a lot between waterings. And that's just not really an issue I've ever had, me personally, because I do like to water my plants so frequently. And even if it is a little bit of an issue, I just don't see the plant roots like getting that stuck to the outside of the planter that when I go to remove the plants, it like damages the plants, especially where I already like to tussle up the root systems and break them up a little bit. Like that kind of takes away a job from me when it comes time to repot, if that does end up happening. But here is the plant. It is definitely not root bound. Let's unpot this other one. Yeah, they're not super root bound, so maybe this planter is a little bit of overkill for these 2 tiny little plants, but I don't know, we'll see. We're just gonna try it and see how it goes. So I'm gonna plant them in like this. Oh yeah. I think this is one of my favorite Hoyas. I don't think I've really ever talked about it on my channel before. I don't really talk about Hoyas period on my channel lately because they've been living in my grow tent, but I am gonna get them moved back into my house. So you'll be seeing a lot more of my Hoyas, the ones I like to keep in my collection. I don't love all Hoyas. I don't know, they all just don't tickle my fancy. They don't float my boat the way that leafy plants do, or like foliage plants do. But I will say I love a Hoya bloom. I think they're so pretty. Oh, I have a, what's it called? I think it's a Hoya vitellinoides. That was wrong. But it has 2 huge peduncles, which I'm really excited about. They are starting to, the little buds on them are starting to pop open, which is really exciting. It's something that's keeping me very occupied lately, like, and excited about checking my plants downstairs lately. So I love that. I love plant blooms. Any plant that blooms, I'm like, yes, I want it in my house. I want to experience that bloom. I want to smell it. I want to taste it. I want to feel it. I'm not actually going to taste it, but you know what I mean. I'm sure you know what I mean. It's just so fun. It's like a whole new life experience that I wouldn't get if I wasn't keeping that plant in my house. You know, I'm sure you know. I'm sure you know. Oh, I think this looks so nice. I could definitely give this plant a trellis and kind of wind all of these vines all over it, but I love the hanging look and I always have loved the hanging look. So For the most part, I prefer that to trellised, like upward growing plants. Here is the Hoya Mathilde. Looks really good. Oh, I love it. I love it. I think it looks awesome. I am so excited to see how this grows in my regular household humidity because like I said, this has been living in my grow tent. Next up, surprise, actually no surprise at all. Hoya Memoria. This plant has a little bit of a backstory. So when I was pregnant with Kai, or when Kai was newly born, I messaged them to ask if they had any of these plants available and if they'd put one on hold for me. If so, and they did, and to go pick it up, they had like a cute little note saying congratulations on my baby. This plant is from them. I've chopped it up so many times. Are you okay?
I'm okay.
Anyway, I have 3 planter options. Originally, I was thinking of doing this black one, but I think this one actually leaks. Should I just stick with the black one? So these are the 3 options. We have the black planter, which I think looks awesome. The white planter, I don't love this one as much. I'm definitely not going to do this one. Or the terracotta. Oh, it's so hard because, you know, I actually think I'm gonna go for the terracotta. And it's funny because I've said time and time again this last little while that I don't really like terracotta, but I don't know. I guess I do in some cases. Like the time I really like terracotta is not upstairs in my already somewhat colorful home. Although little pops of terracotta do look nice. I really like terracotta downstairs in my white office with white furniture, or my white plant room with white also plant shelf furniture. So I don't know. I think if you have like a very kind of boring colored white room, terracotta looks great. Oh my gosh. And My Petite Jungle here on YouTube does only terracotta, and I think it's so beautiful, but I don't know, it just doesn't look as good in my house with my fashion sense, my home fashion sense, which I don't have a whole lot of. I do my best, but I do my best, okay, to make it cute. It feels good to me, and that's what matters. There's a little piece of dirt in here. I am definitely gonna go for terracotta, moral of that story, because I do think that a lot of these are going to be living on my plant shelf downstairs for the foreseeable future. This is actually not as root bound as I thought it was going to be. I wholeheartedly expected this to be as root bound as the Abovada because I've had it for just about as long, but for some reason it's not, so I don't know. I'm gonna break up these roots just a little bit. I do think that I was letting this plant dry out maybe a little bit too much between waterings. I maybe chopped this plant up too much as well, so who knows? I think it will be happier in my mix though. This is a definitely super peaty, sandy mix, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I just don't love the whole peat substrate thing. I don't know, my plants just don't do very well with it for some reason. Again, it probably is a me issue. I have a bad habit of when I'm repotting plants, potting them like level with the top of the planter, which I need to not do anymore because it's what causes about half of my watering messes, half of the cleanup with my plants when I water my plants and there's no room for water to sit at the top, so it just falls out all over my surfaces. Oh, why do I have such a hard time potting things lower than the planter rim? Why is that so hard for me? But it is. Backfill just all around and use my fingers to help push it down. Another good thing about my potting mix is it's really spongy, really chunky, so it's okay to pack it in, because even if you pack it in to the fullest extent, there's not going to be the issue of it being overly compacted, because like I said, it is so spongy, it is so airy, it's not going to get over compacted. Over compaction is an issue, is one of the reasons I don't like peat moss as a potting mix base. And outside of the like environmental factors of peat moss, I mean, to each their own, no shame, no shade, no shame if you decide to use peat moss, because we're each just doing our best. We're doing our best. Try to get all the roots covered, which is a little bit hard on this plant. There are roots coming out from a lot of different little nodes.
Pencil for my house.
You need a paper and a pencil for your house?
Yes.
Oh, okay, one sec.
I'll be in my house.
Then I'm gonna sprinkle some of the less chunky parts of my mix over the top. There we go. What do you think? Was the terracotta the move? That actually looks really cute with this plant now that I look at it more. I wasn't sure at first, but I think that was a good move. Oh, let me move this one out of the way. I guess I'm gonna stick with the Hoya theme so far and save the Jose Buono, the Philodendron, for last. Next up is a Hoya endauensis. This is one of my most sad plants and definitely the most sad Hoya in my collection. I know for a fact that this plant had mealybugs. Also, one of my favorites. I freaking love the button leaves, and then also how they're kind of like rippled on the edges. I think it's so cute. Such a fun plant. It fills in really, really beautifully if you allow it to sit in a spot for long enough. And I definitely want mine to get to that point. So I just think I need to repot it so that I'm able to just set it in a spot and leave it be for a while. I am going to pot it into this little vessel. I think it's really cute and it's the perfect size for this plant. So let's pull this out and see what we have going on. Not super root bound, but it's also in, I think this is one I got from Cactus and Tropicals, and it's also in that peat moss sand perlite mix, which I'm not a super fan of. Not that that mix is bad or anything, but I don't feel like it really matches my plant keeping style. Since this is a drainage hole-less vessel, I am going to add some horticultural charcoal. I forgot to do it on that first plant, but this is something I like to do. Usually. Wow, I could have filled that up a little bit more. I think this Hoya is so cute. I love that. I think it looks so cute. I guess this is a pro no drainage hole video because another reason, I've listed so many reasons, I love no drainage hole planters. It just is so easy to have a plant with no drainage hole and be able to throw it into a hanging planter or a hanging basket or, you know, onto a regular plant shelf and not have to worry about mess in any circumstance. Truly, the root cause of my love of no drainage vessels is the mess. The ease of mess, the less mess, no mess required, because I do often overfill vessels with drainage and they end up everywhere, all over the counter, all over the floor, all over the cabinet, the shelf, whatever I have it sitting on. With no drainage hole, no problem. And if I do overfill a vessel, I can just, you know, hold the substrate in and drain out the excess water. I do think I want to have it hanging because These will fill in so beautifully. They'll kind of cling on and wrap around a hanging basket, which I think will look really nice. Soon, I think next week, I'll have a video going up where this is included in a hanging basket. Stay tuned. Okay. And last up, Philodendron Jose Buono, and I currently have it potted into, I love this planter, but my Jose Buono has grown out of it quite quickly. There are roots coming out of the bottom, and this sucker just dries out so fast. I've had it sitting inside of this, the perfect size for this plant. As much as I love this planter plant combo, I've just been sitting in this planter like this. I can't really enjoy the beauty of the planter, so I'd like to get something else potted up into here so that I can finally enjoy the planter again. And the Jose Buono won't dry out as much. The roots, you guys, are gnarly on this. They are popping out the bottom of this. And yeah, you can see they're pretty dry, even though I like just watered this. So it's time. As hard as it is for me, it's time. Oh gosh, this is pretty stuck in here.
Ow.
Oh, I just made a mess. Dang it. But that is so root bound. Damn, I made a mess. Do you see that? This is by far the most root bound plant I'm going to be potting today, and I repotted this one the most recently. So that's kind of wild. Not too much. It's important, not too much. But where these are so, like, look at this. These are so wrapped around, like it's good to break them up a little bit so they don't keep growing like that. So we're all broken up enough anyway. Just a little thin layer, and I'm gonna start to backfill. Okay, I have it filled up to about here. Let's add the plant. Wow, this is like all root. That is so crazy. Fill it back in. This plant is a little bit wobbly in here right now, but once I water everything, which we will do together, it should be good. That's the last plant that I'm gonna be repotting today. How many was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plants. That feels really good to get done. I am on a repot everything that needs to be repotted journey, so stay tuned. There will be a few more installments of this until I'm caught up to everything. And then it'll probably be time to start fresh again. Now to clean up this mess, the thing I love about the potting mat is I can just unpaw all of my plants onto it, fold it up, and carry it to my secondhand substrate bin, which, yeah, let's do that now. It is fairly mess-free. This is my secondhand soil bin where I just dump any substrate I've unpotted from my plants. I won't use this right away. I'll kind of let it sit and dry out really, really well for like 6 months or so before I start using it again. Let me know if you'd like to see a full video on my process of this. I think it's a pretty good system. I really like being able to repurpose all my soil without having to worry about pests or any issues like that. Good morning. I don't know how or why or when it happened, but I am clearly incapable of filming a video all the way through in one day. Because guess what? It's the next day. When was the last time I filmed a video in one go? Okay, it's actually a few days later and my plants have been sitting here getting really, really thirsty. This one is super floppy, so it is time to water, and I'm gonna do that right now and then get them put back into their homes. We are gonna be doing a sink watering. Ooh, it's kind of heavy. The potting mix was bone dry, so of course my plants are now bone dry, and especially after all that stress, but the leaves are incredibly flimsy. Gonna add some Osmocote to each of them. I do use Osmocote a lot lately. I also still use Liquider. Osmocote and Liquider are the two plant foods nutrition systems that I do like to use for my plants. My plants do really well on Liquider, and I love supporting a small business. I've just realized that in some cases, my plants weren't getting like proper nutrition just because I often water in like the sink or the bathtub or the hose, you know, and I wasn't mixing Liquider in the sink. I was kind of foregoing the plant food for a while there. So I just like to have some Osmocote granules added into each of my plants, just a little bit, so that I know that I have a little something for them. I do also like to soak all of my additives, like the cocoa chips, sphagnum moss, all of that. I do soak in Liquider water, so there is a little bit of backup nutrition there, but I just think having a little bit of Osmocote in here has been doing my plants some good. But I do think that the Osmocote Liquider is an A+ like combination for plant nutrition. Did I only repot 5 plants? It seems like I repotted more than that. Maybe it just felt like more because I was doing it while I was in charge of my kids. So it felt very chaotic. I'm gonna go set this aside. Yeah, and then I'm gonna move, you know, my plants to the sink and give them a really good water. I did move all of the dishes out so my plants would fit, so ignore the mess. I just could not get myself to do the dishes this early in the morning. I like watering plants in the sink because it's so much easier to give them a very super thorough watering without making a mess. I also like, it's nice to be able to kind of spray them off after the repot because they are a little bit dusty after all of that excitement. The boys are playing outside and it's really nice because it's been freezing the last few days. It snowed a couple of days ago. Like, it's been so cold. I'm glad they can finally get out some of their pent up energy and I can get some stuff done uninterrupted. All right, everything's in their temporary spots, and I say temporary because a lot is going to be changing upstairs this weekend. So before I adjust my rooms down here, I want to get that finished so that I know what plants from down here I want to bring upstairs. And then I can make adjustments down here based on what I end up bringing back upstairs when all of that's done. It feels really good to have all of those repotted because they're plants I've been wanting to have like back up in my collection to enjoy day to day. You will definitely be seeing everything that's changing upstairs in an upcoming video. I think it's gonna go up on the 20th. Stay tuned. You guys know I'm always just changing things around the house. It keeps it interesting for me, I guess. Keeps me from getting bored. I will see you next time. Bye.